live from the Passion for Hair Academy. I'm hoping that I have sound. And morning, Andrew and Marcus. I'm hoping that we've got sound there. Morning, Naomi, Emma, Andy, Carly. I believe Carly's still in hospital. Carly, get well soon. Morning, Sarah and Matt. Anne, good morning. Georgia, Harry, Jackie, Michelle, good morning. Good morning. I can see you all. Gary, good morning. Yes, I can see you all. That's good. No one's telling me that you can't see me or you can't hear me. So I think that that is good. Morning, Daniel. There's Daniel there. So I'm glad that I'm hoping today we're going to be about 50 minutes, just under the hour. Please feel free to make any questions that you want to, and depending on the question will depend whether or not well, you know, there's a nice small group of us today. Many people have messaged me to say that they can't make it this morning, but they do want to watch the recording. It is being recorded and the recording will be released. What else do I need to tell you? I do want to put the date on this one. So, and the reason why we are putting it out, but we are talking today, the date, I'm just making sure, is the 26th of August. And the reason why I'm making sure that we put the date at the beginning of it is because we are this morning going to be talking about measures, government guidelines, what we should be doing, etc., etc. So I want everybody, if somebody happens to click on this video and there's been an update post August the 25th, people will know this is kind of my disclaimer, as it were, that this is the state of play as of the 25th of August. And this is actually really quite an important webinar that we're doing this morning, because something is going on, and I think you may have felt the rumblings of something going on. I want to explain to everybody what is going on and why it is so important to us right now. So you may have seen this. The NHBF have started a new campaign which is called Do It Right. And if you can read the little writing down there, so hopefully you've all seen this, and give me some feedback there if you would. In fact, there was a webinar on Friday. I believe it was on Friday. There was a webinar with Hilary Hall. You may or may not have caught that webinar. So, but government officials have warned the NHBF. It's not just the NHBF actually, but anyway, they've warned there's a group of organisations that are working together, and that's really what we're going to talk about today. And so the government officials have warned the NHBF and others that they will close the hair and beauty sector if they don't follow safety guidelines. And this is actually something that the government have said. They are prepared to close down sectors, and they are prepared to close down regions. This is going to be their strategy moving forward. They don't want to have a national lockdown. They know the effect that has. They don't see that it's necessary. And if you follow the COVID numbers, I do. I follow Essex, I follow Milton Keynes, and I follow Northampton. And from time to time, when I'm following those three, and I do that at least weekly for obvious reasons. I've got salons in Essex. I've got a distribution business in Milton Keynes. And part of my health and safety risk assessment says that on a weekly basis, I will keep abreast of the numbers. So I'm telling you that. Because that should also be part of your health and safety risk assessment. If the numbers are low, as they are currently here in Milton Keynes, and they are low in Essex, then you know you can afford to be a little more relaxed. I don't mean relaxed with the guidelines. This is going to be part of what we're talking about today. Because what I put up there last night, I said, who's monitoring it and how? and that's what I'm going to talk to you about, and what they're monitoring. So yeah, they're low in Milton Keynes, they're low in Essex. I keep my eye on Northampton because I happen to live in the county of Northamptonshire. I live in a village which literally, as you go out of the Milton Keynes district and into Northamptonshire, I live in the first village in Northamptonshire. So I keep my eyes on the number in Northampton, and you may or may not know that currently Northampton have the highest infection rates in the country. But it has been traced to one workplace, which is a sandwich factory, where there are some people here that are from Northampton. They might be able to help me with the numbers off the top of my head. I think it's like there's like 350 workers there, and 230 workers were tested positive for COVID. So Northamptonshire numbers whoosh, shot up like that. So Northampton is a town which currently has special measures and special messages out there. They're not on lockdown because it's this one workplace, but they're being watched. You know, unlike some other places in the country or countries which are on lockdown. Now, the other thing I want to say, so that's really what we're going to talk about this morning. Now, I'm indebted to Nicole Chilmaid, who got me linked up with trade-in standards. So Nicole and I are on this panel of industry industry experts, I guess, I don't know, industry people anyway, with trade-in standards, and we're on this panel, and trade-in standards have been empowered by the government to make sure that locally things are being upheld. Okay, now I've said that nice and slowly. Watch what the government are doing currently. They are turning everything local. Their track and trace, they have taken the responsibility from the central government, and they are putting the track and trace people in with local government. Everything is going to go local. Right now, the numbers are really, in most of the country, you know, are really quite low and under control. But of course, what the concern is that as we go into the colder winter months, people have to spend more time inside. You know, there's a concern that we will see an increase in rates and, you know, in infection rates. Now, it's really important for us to understand that social distancing and sanitization was never meant as a way of getting rid of this, of making it go away. That isn't making it go. All of that was put in place to flatten the curve. It was done so that the government and the NHS could get control of the situation, and they have control of the situation. What the government are doing currently are putting measures in place for the long-term management of coronavirus or COVID-19, whichever you want to call it. So trading standards have been very busy in the background. Not in the foreground, which is why at the moment a lot of people are, you know, a little bit, well, you know, no one's been to check on me. Some people have had checks. If you've had checks, you know, give us some feedback there so people can get a feel of what's happening around the country. So Jackie says she's had a visit already from the local enforcement officer. Jackie, was that trading standards or was it environmental health? Okay, because environmental health are their local authority, and they also are responsible for helping us put measures in place. Trading standards are the ones which are empowered with enforcement. And trading, yeah, environmental health. So environmental health, when you get a visit from them, it'll always be friendly. They come along. One of the first things they're going to ask you for is a copy of your health and safety risk assessment for COVID. Right, that's the first thing they'll ask for. If they question anyone, they're going to look for the youngest person in the building. That tends to be what they do, and then they question that person, and then and then they'll give advice or recommendations, or congratulate you if you're doing a good job. Okay. So there Marcus said he had environmental health and they wanted to see the risk assessment. So that tends to be what happens. Some people have been contacted remotely by environmental health and have been asked to email over their risk assessment. Now, what I have got for you today, and we'll make sure that everybody gets a copy of this, Trading Standards have literally just released this document. This document is 20. I'm going to show you something actually. This is all so important. I only bring important stuff to you, you know that. Okay, so this was published on the 15th of the 8th, but so it was published 11 days ago, and literally they're trying to get it out there. Okay, one of the problems Trading Standards have, they have no, or it looks to me like their route to the industry, you know, is not as strong as maybe they would like it. Now, my printer at home ran out of ink towards the end of this. So I hope you can see this. Can you see that says page 22 of 21? And for those of you that put documents together, you'll know what a faux pas that is. That's because they ended up putting extra stuff in there. And it's because, and I don't think Nicole's on here with us this morning. I think she's one of the ones that's catching up later. They actually released this once, and literally within hours of releasing it, and I may have told you about this on my last webinar, but I speak to so many people about so many things, I'm starting to get muddled, you know. But they released it, and within hours of them releasing it, the government announced that hairdressers, as well as wearing a visor, must also wear a type 2 mask. This is very important. Type 2 mask. Many hairdressers are not wearing type 2 masks, and this is one of the ways that it's going to fall down. Jude, you're the only salon in our street with these measurements in place. Right, because there are so many not following, and that is why the government have told the NHBF and other organisations, if the industry doesn't comply, we're going to close it down. Right, so as an industry, we have to get on top of this. If you watched on Friday, Hillary Hall, if you watched on Friday, Hillary Hall did actually say to people, if you've got people not complying, then maybe you want to, I can't remember her words exactly, but basically what she said is, if you've got people not complying, maybe what you want to do is give a little heads up to environmental health and let them know that people are not complying, because environmental health will go in and help them comply. Trading Standards will go in. Here is what Trading Standards are able to do. They are able to give enforcement notices, right? So an enforcement notice means that they will say to them, if it is a mask and a visor issue, they'll say you must wear these 2 things, and this is an enforcement notice that shows that we have officially told you this is what you have to do, and you have this amount of time to comply. And if they don't comply, then the next thing they can do is they can close unsafe businesses, right? So they can close unsafe businesses, and that's what we need to happen. If people are not complying, close them individuals. Don't close my business, please, because my team are complying and I have got the right masks, and it's costing us a fortune, right? So they can close unsafe businesses. Fines are unlimited, okay? Unlimited. Not the 3,200 or 600 or whatever that is. That is for the general public. Fines for non-compliance of these regulations that the government have put in place are unlimited, and prison sentences up to 2 years could be given to people. Now, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Surely it doesn't need to get as bad as that. Now, at this point, I do want to say it is different in different parts of our United Kingdom. Northern Ireland are following exactly the same as England, but of course Wales and Scotland have their own government guidelines, and so so it's important. I can see that Matt has put, do you wear a visor and a mask in jail? It's probably a good time for me to tell you this. The reason why the government have made it mandatory for hairdressers to wear a visor and a type 2 medical mask is because of the amount of time we spend with clients. That is it. So you can't compare it to a waiter, to someone else. You can't do that. Guidelines for offices say that meetings should be kept to less than 15 minutes. Right? You can't do your services in more than 15 minutes. Now, I don't know about you. I want my business to remain open. So if the government say, or the scientists say, and then the government mandate it, they say, you know, if you're with your services are more than 15 minutes, and so therefore it makes it a higher risk, you must wear a visor and a mask. As uncomfortable and as horrible as that is what we must do. Okay? So we must understand that. Now, there's another reason to do it, and the other reason is for client confidence, for the public's confidence in our industry. I'm terribly frustrated that for the whole 40 I started college at 16, and I can remember on the first day at college, you know, the tutor said, you've chosen a very good career. They are, some of you have heard me say this story before, they are campaigning to make the industry regulated, and so it will be seen as professional and it will make it such a great job. They've been saying that for over 40 years, right? And now we're in the same category as nurses and etc. Everybody's, you know, kicking off and doesn't want to comply. I mean, come on, people, get a grip. This is an opportunity for I think it's an opportunity for our industry to really raise to the challenge. And I realize it's completely different. None of us, if we wanted to be a nurse, would have been a nurse, right? I get that. But for years, I've been saying, it was Keith Chandler that first said this, the problem we have in our industry in this country and in many other countries is that there are too many salons, right? There's no shortage of hairdressers. There's plenty of hairdressers. There's too many salons, right? And too many businesses. And he used to say, what we need is the Saddam Hussein method. We shoot every third salon owner. Well, people, hello. That is likely what is going to happen long term. Now, I'm sorry if I'm coming across here and everyone's going, oh my God, and etc. But I think because we've had a great summer and the numbers have been low, I think a lot of people think that we are the other side of it. And I pray to God. I pray to God that they're wrong. Honestly, I really do. And I'm sorry if you don't believe in God, but that's who I pray to. You are, you know, whatever spiritual you are. You know, that's the way that it is. Gavin, I can see, I heard only this morning that my cousin, whom is a nurse, is only wearing a mask. It will be because of the risk assessment of her job, Gavin. If she was in a COVID ward or if she was at a 9-hour operation, it would be a different situation. And they have type 1 masks. We have type 2. Yes, but I think, okay, look, kick off everyone if you want to. Let the government hear you. If you've got friends that have got salons in California, have a chat with them today. They have been closed for months and months and months. They were first closed in February. Their Californian governor allowed them to open. They were open for under 4 weeks before he closed them down again. They've been closed for months and months and months. There has not been one single piece of evidence that there was a COVID case in a salon. The businesses are in tatters. They have no financial help in California at all. I mean, is that what you want? So, yeah, Emma says, I'm glad to be back working. I'll do whatever I have to. Right now, potentially, we could be part of local lockdowns if there are spikes in our area. So, you know, potentially this could happen. I want you to think about this for a minute. And I've experienced this secondhand, not firsthand. But of course, I think you all know I'm very, you know, good friends with Barry. And Barry had 2 salons closed. Now, let me tell you what happened. He had 3 that were still open because they were outside of the lockdown area. They had untold amounts of phone calls and new clients from salons that were in the city centre that were closed down, like locked down, not closed down, locked down, right? And their clients were going outside of the area. Now, that's potentially what will happen to you. Your clients will go somewhere else because just literally in the next town, they could have salons, right? So these are the things and again, you know, look, I don't want to be a scaremonger, but I'm just trying to help everybody get into the right mindset, because it's all about mindset, right? And I'm doing a lot about mindset at the moment, because as you know, we are doing business counts. We're doing 2 dates because so many of you want to attend. One of the things that I'm doing is mindset, right? And I'm studying that at the moment, because you know, that's anyway. So let's let me get back to where I am. Right. So where am I? So yes, I just want to tell you something. I want to go back to what I said, client confidence. 40% of clients have not yet returned through lack of confidence. 40% have not yet visited a salon or a hairdresser. Okay, so that's, you know, that's very, very interesting. Now, you can see at the top, we've got that the document that I'm using here. We've got, and what I've done is I've taken some screenshots. It's all very it's very raw, okay? But I've taken some screenshots, and I'm so sorry. Can you see in the background there? I thought that automatically, when I put it onto a presentation, I thought that disappears, but it doesn't. So I've really made a faux pas here, but nevertheless. So you can see there on the top right-hand corner, this is the front page. And you can see there that it says that this document is England only. And it also excludes areas subject to local lockdowns. So in this document, the clues are there, right? Trading standards know what, you know, what they're doing. So you say it's subject to local lockdowns. So they're talking about local lockdowns. This is what we have to look forward to going forward. I hope not, but this is where the government and their agencies are aiming to, you know, planning towards. So you can see there's a link for the position on local lockdowns, so you can find out where local lockdowns are in case you are confused about that. I've highlighted this bit here. In June 2020, the government added a new section, especially for close contact services, to its working safety suite of guidance, and it's been updated several times since. We know this, right? But I just want to make sure that we're understanding, because of course we were in retail, then they moved us to hospitality, and then they realized close contact services, which is hair, barber and beauty, need our own, in this context, we need our own category because of the closeness of the services, etc., etc. Now, here's my question to you. At what point do you think this category will go away? So let's say, you know, we get let's say COVID goes away. I don't know when it might be, you know, 1 year, 2, whatever, right? Whatever, doesn't matter. Do you think this category will ever go away? My personal view is this category is here to stay. And as it's here to stay, they will, you know, they're scrutinizing what we do. And I think safety measures and health measures will be increased for our industry. hair, beauty and barber. It will be increased in the same way that it is in America. So in America, the level of because of course it's regulated. For a start, they have to have a license. They're regularly visited, and I do think you know, this will be here to stay for us, this category. That's my personal view. I'm by the way, I'm on the panel. Oh yeah, I told you that I'm on the panel for this, right? So COVID, by the way, it's not an influencing part that I have. My place on the panel is to make sure that it's like, so I don't have an influence on it. They bring it, and then as the panel, we have to sit and we have to say, yeah, we understand. Yes, that will work. Maybe this has been missed. And then we give advice as to how they can get information out to the, so just so that you know, I don't want anyone texting me after or emailing me and trying to, what do they call that when you do that to politicians, you know? Anyway, COVID-19 is a highly contagious virus. It sticks to all sorts of surfaces, including skin, and can survive for several days. The latest research suggests 48 to 72 hours. So in this document, there's lots of information that's going to really help you understand a little bit more, and to lobby. Thank you, Janice. And to understand a little bit more, but also to communicate to the team, because I know for the teams, you know, they read a lot on social media, they listen to their friends and whatever, and they come to work, and I know because you bring me your questions and you say, oh, you know, the team said what about this and what about that, and often they're getting confused with other industries, and people are, as we have done, well, I'm in a restaurant and the waiter's not wearing a mask. If the waiter's not wearing a mask, why do I have to? Right? And we need more understanding of what the scientists are saying and why they think it's important for us, because we can't change it. We're not scientists, so we have to comply with it. And so in order to understand a little bit more, it will make it better. It passes between people via touch and via the air. So people who are too close to each other are able to breathe in infected droplets and become infected. Coughing and sneezing are thought to be the main ways in which COVID-19 is transmitted. But they do know now, of course, that even talking loudly, projecting your voice, singing, they know that these things, you know, make these droplets get into the air. And, you know, you may have come across people, as I have. I was in the hotel, actually having a meeting with the hotel about business counts. And the girl there says, oh, are salons allowed to blow dry yet? It's like, we've always been allowed to blow dry. But that's what she believed, right? So if touching a contaminated surface, hands can transfer the virus to the eyes, the nose or the mouth and enter the body, causing infection. We've talked a lot about this. So you can come into contact with COVID on your hands, and if you sanitize your hands, right, you can make it go away before it gets to your eyes, your nose or your mouth, if it comes in contact with your hands. That's why hand sanitation is so important. So how often should hand sanitation be taking place in the salon? Like multiple times per service, in my opinion. So not just when the client enters the building, multiple times per service. So our stylists should have their own, wait a minute. Their own hand sanitation. Our stylists should have their own, and they should multiple times, they should be sanitizing their hands. And as they're doing that, so they should be putting some into the client's hand and have the client sanitizing their hands as well, because this is a way of being able to protect themselves. We should also be teaching people not to touch their eyes or don't touch their face. Although, of course, part of the problem about our services is that our hands are very close to the client's face, right? The incubation period of the virus is an average of 5 days, and most people will not be infectious until they show symptoms. And we do know that some people are asymptomatic. And that's a big problem. The hair and beauty sector involves workplaces, salons, and activities that bring people in very close proximity to one another, often in the head or face area, referred to as the highest risk zone, right? So again, just like they have created a category for us, close contact services, they've created this this term which is used a lot, highest risk zone. And as hairdressers, I believe in time, when we learn health and safety and MVQs, there will be some health and safety that we have to learn about the highest risk zone. That's what I believe. I've seen that much written about it and that much talked about. The webinars that I've attended with trading standards, it's all about this high risk zone. It's what stopped beauticians opening and lash techs, makeup artists, etc. It's the reason why, by the way, consultation should be done before the client comes. You should have a system of doing consultation before the client comes, or be doing consultation through the mirrors, etc. But anyway, these activities present the most difficult challenges when it comes to minimizing the spread of COVID-19 and operating safely. The sometimes unpredictable nature of clients' behaviour adds to the challenge. I don't really know what they mean by that, but I do like the fact they've recognised that some clients have unpredictable behaviour. But anyway, I'm not quite sure what they mean by that. But I guess what they're saying is that we can't predict what clients do, I don't know, in terms of turning their head round to us or something. I really just don't even know. In a salon environment, this is a considerable challenge, even in non-COVID times, right? And that's the bit that makes me think this is going to stick. Given the breadth of things you should consider, but the task of assessing the risks isn't usually as daunting as it seems. There are a lot of good quality free templates and resources available these days to which this bulletin will point you. So here they're talking now about the risk assessment. You should be regularly updating your risk assessment. So if we've been open since the 4th of July, the 4th of August, the 4th of September, you should really be coming up to your second reassessment. And of course you will be, because in that time things have changed. So it became mandatory for clients to wear a mask, and then it became mandatory for hairdressers, barbers and beauty estheticians to wear a type 2 mask, right? The type 2 part is really important. A lot of people are not using type 2 masks. They're using face coverings, or they're buying these blue face coverings. You can buy 50 for $6.99. That is not a type 2 mask. And if environmental health come in, they'll tell you that that's the wrong one. And if trading standards come in, trading standards could put an enforcement notice on you. So if you need to do a risk assessment, there are templates. NHBF have got one. Let me get to where I am. Let me see which ones they are pointing us towards in this document. In the document, they're pointing us towards the what are they pointing us towards? Just Public Health England. There's a few there. Okay, so yeah, please read this document yourself. I've only got these bits, for us to take out the main points so that anyone can do that. I think the nurses and patients only have to wear masks, as all are being tested regularly for COVID. That's just me guessing though. Yeah, but it's also the amount of time they're spending, Carly. I mean, I don't know. I'm not with you. I'm not in the hospital. I haven't been in hospital for years, but it's, when the doctors come round, I mean, they don't even spend 15 minutes at your bedside. If you have 5 or more employees, you must keep a written record of your risk assessments, including your COVID-19 risk assessment, and involve them in its creation. If you have under 5 staff, it's still good practice to have a written record of your risk assessments and share them with your employees. Now, I've had conversations with a couple of people who have under 5 employees, and I've said to them, oh, don't worry about it. You don't have to have a written one. But here they are saying it's good practice. And so my advice then to you would be, you're doing it informally, just put it down on a piece of paper, even if you're under 5 employees. That particular box you can see has been highlighted, right? And it's been highlighted for a reason. From time to time, you may be inspected by environmental health officers from your local authority. They come from the local council. These are highly trained professionals whose job it is to check that you're complying with the health and safety and licensing requirements applicable to your premises, keeping everyone safe. They will give you advice and may signpost you to templates and sources of information to help you. They work closely with the health and safety executive. So that's what we were talking about. Environmental health are there to give you advice and to make sure you're complying. It's the trading standards that are going to come in with the heavy boots on, and they have not yet started. They've been busy writing these guides for not just our industry. They've written them for every industry, I believe. I think it's on there, but like they've written them for like 20 industries or something. The local council websites are often a source of helpful and free information on many topics, usually tailored for a local audience too. Okay. Yeah, if you haven't got any employees, Andy, you still are, that's what the under 5 is. Like, they recognise that there are self-employed people. My advice to you would be to do one because of that box I just showed you. Enforcement is always a last resort and only usually used for persistent offenders or those who have had the most blatant disregard for the rules or when things go very wrong. Enforcement can mean the service of notices requiring steps to be taken and can also lead to significant fines or imprisonment, as we talked about earlier, right? How are they monitoring mobile people? I know this because it was a question that was brought up in one of the webinars that I attended. And how do you think? Let's see if anyone can guess, because they are. Let's see if anyone can guess. Let's see if you can guess. No one's got it right yet. Keep trying. Keep trying. Not Google, but you're getting close. Making an appointment, Facebook. Well done, Val. They are monitoring it through Facebook. They said Facebook is the biggest monitoring tool that they are using for salons and for mobile hairdressers. And I have seen tons of people posting stuff without the right. Just saying. Failure to complete a risk assessment, including a coronavirus risk assessment, or to put in place sufficient measures to control the risks identified could be a breach of health and safety law. Now, remember, under 5 employees, there is no health and safety law. But look at what everyone has said. When environmental health come in, the first thing they ask for is your health and safety risk assessment. And so if you've got that and you can hand it over, it immediately stops them. Now, so if you are less than 5 employees and you've not got it, oh, we've not got one because we don't need one, they'll go, okay, but it will actually then make them step up their visit, if that makes sense. And they might turn up when you've got clients in there. Okay, so you know, that's one of the reasons why I recommend that you have something in writing. This could lead to enforcement action and may affect your future license applications, e.g. a skin piercing license. Here's something, you know, so there are things that are licensed by the local authority, but as a result of this, they've been given extra money and they might choose. And by the way, licensing is all about local authorities, and some local authorities do require, in an informal way, salons to register with them. Okay. It could be in the future that they bring on some more rigorous checks and testing. And I've got to tell you, you might not like to hear this, right? But if I were a local authority, I think I would be taking this opportunity to get a handle, knowing what they are learning about our services, and particularly like beauty, lashes, eyebrows. Of course, you know, there's been a massive, by the way, a massive thing about aesthetics, right? You know, all these, because some of these aesthetics went back before they were supposed to, believing that they are medical, and they're not. Now, you could have a medical qualification, the service itself is aesthetic, right? So there's been a lot of thing about that doesn't count to any of us that are here, unless some of you have these aesthetic people that come in and do treatments or whatever, but there's been massive disparity about that. So you know, it could be in the future the local authorities will decide to put more licensing on some or all of our industry, and I'm talking about the wider industry now. I'm not talking about us doing, you know, a cut and blow dry Mrs. Smith, right? But you know what, you'll want a gold star next to your business name. You won't want anything else. It's your responsibility to keep up to date with the rules. And it's a good idea to involve your workers when producing your risk assessment. They are often best placed to understand the risks. So a few people have asked me about that. And what I would say is this: when it says involve your workers, you don't have to involve everybody. What you could do is you could say, well, you know, there are 7 of us and I have a manager. So I consulted the manager, and the manager then is representing, you know, for the team, as it were, because they are, you know, frontline on the job or something. So you haven't got to do everybody. Putting sufficient mitigation measures into place is also a legal requirement. So I put this in because so many people say, is it the law or is it not the law? Well, trading standards are talking a lot in here about what is a legal requirement and what is not. Now, I don't know about you. Trading standards come in, I don't want to be having an argument with them about what's the law and what's not the law by my interpretation. In a nutshell, it means think about the virus and how it's transmitted, identify what work activity or situations might cause transmission of the virus, think about who could be at risk, decide how likely it is that someone could be exposed, right? This amount of time of exposure, right, is really, it's a massive one. When you read this document, you'll see. An act to remove the activity or situation, or if this isn't possible, control the risk. So they do actually talk about we should voluntarily be not carrying out some services. And I don't think they're referring to hairdressers. I think they're referring to some activities in beauty. Okay. Gavin's asking a question, and it's a really good one. I told the self-employed members of the team they're required to do their own risk assessment. That is correct. They haven't. So who would be responsible in this situation? They would, as we will reiterate this and enforce it. But I do think, you know, help them put something together. It hasn't got to be, they haven't got to do like just a COVID one, so it hasn't got to be onerous. So you would do one, Gavin, and in yours, and I'm sure you already have, in yours it would say, you know, we have self-employed and it is their responsibility. As a business, we have, you know, consulted with them on this, right? In the same way, I rent premises here in Milton Keynes. Like we're part of we have shared facilities, shared bathrooms, shared corridors. And so there has been an element of the landlord, whilst he's not responsible for me and my employees, he is responsible for those shared facilities, right? And so there has been an element of them coming to me and consulting with me to make sure that we are, not to force us, but to tell us what they're doing, and then to ask us, what are you doing, right? So There's an element of that. So ensure your risk assessment for COVID-19 considers every aspect of salon life in relation to COVID-19, not only when providing treatments, but also when welcoming and booking in clients and arrival and departure of staff, cleaning, breakout areas, eating and drinking, receiving deliveries. The checklist below may help. So we have to think about, all of those things. Let me give you an example. I just updated some stuff in the last couple of days. And of course, I have to do office and warehouse. And I note in the government guidelines now, there is, it says, when people, and we've talked about this interestingly, but it's now in the government guidelines, and it says once people are on site, they should be encouraged to stay on site, right? So for an example, those are the kind of things, and it's to cut down, that the points of contamination, as it were. So they are the sort of things that they're talking about. They're talking there about salon life would be refreshments, for an example. Salon life would be break times. Where do people eat? How do you make sure there's not too many people, eating all at once, etc., etc. Your risk assessment should help you decide which are best for your premises, bearing in mind that you must reduce the risk from COVID-19. There's a reason why I've put this here, and in order to understand why I've put it here, just give me a second. Oh, yeah, it's because of the next slide. So you'll probably need to follow as many of these as possible, not just one or two of them, right? And I've seen this sometimes, and it's probably some of what you're talking about when you say that you've seen other salons that are not complying, right? So we must ensure that workers and clients who feel unwell stay at home. We are complied to have a notice on our front door. We are we should be sending either phoning clients, doing it verbally, or sending the day before. You can do it by email, but basically saying that or making a statement that if people have a temperature, persistent cough, or a loss of taste and smell, that's the three currently, that they don't attend the salon or the premises. You should have one on your front door too. If you haven't got one and you want one, we've got one that Declan did. In fact, just give me a second. You're welcome to have this. Just let us know. We'll email it to you. It's the one that goes on the door here, right? Okay, and you put it at the entrance of your premises. If you haven't got one and you want a copy of that, just let us know. We'll email you one. You can print it, you can use it. Increase the frequency of hand washing and surface cleaning. We know about that. I think, I think we've done a really good job. But one of the things that I think is happening is that because the numbers are low, because people feel like life is back to normal, because people have been going to restaurants and pubs, and there is this complacency setting in, and we need to make sure that we keep on top of people and keep reminding them. People get into this not deliberately, and not. So I'm not suggesting people are doing it deliberately, but our teams are young, many of them. They have to keep being reminded. They must keep up with what they're doing. Comply with social distancing guidelines, so the 2 meters or the 1 meter with risk mitigation, where 2 meters is not possible. And as we start to try and get back to normal, remember that we can use screens, and there are some nice screens out there. Not that I think screens are nice, I don't, but you understand what I'm saying, and when you make them so that they are I don't like these ones that look not permanent, because actually I like everything that can move. So I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that don't look, it's got to look like you mean it on purpose. That's what I think we're trying to say. And as we move into the winter, by the way, I think we are going to see more and more places using screens. I think the government are going to encourage more and more use of screens, particularly in hospitality. So, you know, consider this for your business if you need it, this 1 metre plus. They're talking about social distancing, aren't they? Listen on the news. Where social distancing guidelines cannot be followed in full in relation to a particular activity or treatment, you should consider whether you can redesign or in some way alter the way it's delivered to achieve social distancing guidelines. And you have to be seen to be taking that into consideration. So let me give you an example. A lot of our services for hairdressing, of course, are they take place behind, right? So add into your health and safety, make sure you make reference to the high risk zone, and then say, like, make a reference to a fringe trim. Keep a fringe trim, keep it short, trim the fringe quickly. Fringe trim should take, so like we do with shampooing, shampoo should take, you know, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is that you do in your salons. What we could do, of course, is say, you know, keep a fringe trim to a minimum, because that's when you're in the high risk zone. The rest of the time, work at the side and behind the client. That would be, you know, an important kind of thing to put in. And that's the reason why I'd put that there. Even after redesign or alteration of the treatment or activity, if social distancing guidelines cannot be met, then consider whether that treatment needs to continue for the business to operate. If not, then stop the activity. If yes, then the practitioner should wear a visor, which is personal protective equipment. Now, they've been saying previously that it's not PPE, and now this is what they're saying. First time I'd seen it written was in this document. So it's more than a face covering. The practitioner should also wear a type 2 face mask under the visor. Particular attention should also be paid to avoiding contact with surfaces near to the client and thoroughly cleaning those surfaces after each client. So, you know, making sure that they're, you know, you're using the right cleaners, making sure that it's being done, and that it's being done after every client. And I've seen lots of you are using steamers and things like that. We've broke one already. But luckily it's under guarantee. Yeah, you know, the use of steamers and things like that. Again, let's go back to client confidence, because what we know is this. Here's what the government do, whichever government it is, whether it's the Welsh, the Scottish, the English, or the Northern Ireland government. They drip feed, right, and they sow seeds. And what will happen is, I think, once we get into the winter months, clients will start to become more aware of their surroundings and things that should be happening. You know, and we don't want clients thinking that we're not taking it as absolutely serious as we possibly can. So these are the risk mitigation measures, right, that trading standards have put for our close contact services industry. Increasing hand washing and surface cleaning, keeping the activity time as short as possible. It's number 2 on the list. Using screens to separate clients from one another. Everyone working in close proximity to clients for an extended period of time must wear a visor and a type 2 face mask. Therefore, screens between the practitioner and the client will not be necessary. Close proximity means about an arm's length away for a sustained period of time. Working from the back, behind the client, or from the side, circling the client. Using back-to-back or side-to-side working rather than face-to-face wherever possible. Avoiding skin-to-skin contact wherever possible, unless crucial for the treatment, and using gloves where possible. They're talking there about beauty services, by the way, not hairdressing. Gloves will not help with hairdressing so far. That's what they've said. Who knows what will change. Using a consistent pairing system defined as fixing which workers work together if workers have to be in close proximity. So they're talking here about, you know, an apprentice and a stylist. Keeping background music at a low level will help avoid the need to shout, which will which could transmit aerosol droplets. So here it talks about the pre-screening, the pre-service screening questionnaire, and I think most of you are already doing this by email, sending out to clients and asking them some questions. There are the questions that we were talking about: a temperature, a persistent cough, and loss of taste or smell. Of course, they're coming up with all the time. They're coming up with new symptoms. We were talking, oh gosh, way back in lockdown about the symptoms that were coming up with skin conditions and etc. And they're now starting to, doctors have actually got that now on a list of symptoms. So some people that are asymptomatic in terms of a cough are getting skin conditions unexplained and, you know, out of the blue, as it were. So that's that bit. This is important. The taking of a client's temperature using a handheld thermometer gun isn't a reliable indicator on its own. I did that because I know a lot of salons are doing it or are talking about doing it. And that's the advice right now. And I think if clients know about that advice, I don't know. I don't want to put my, everyone's seeing this through the prism of their own beliefs. God, I must have said that 1,000 times since March. And we've all got to do what we think is right. But Andy's put there, is all this scaring clients away? Yeah, try and keep it elegant. Try and keep it to what it is. You know, it is important that we keep people safe, but there's no need to do things. You know, there's no need to do things that you know, that you don't need to. Okay, this has been a conversation that's been had a lot, right? Which is about ventilation. An adequate supply of fresh air in any workplace is important. Good ventilation can help reduce the risk of spreading the virus, whether that's by mechanical ventilation or opening windows and doors. So air conditioning systems should be set to fresh air supply rather than recirculation. So there's been a lot of talk about air conditioning. Air conditioning is actually the best way of filtering, as long as the system has new, you know, up-to-date filters and is working well and is set to fresh air supply. So air conditioning systems bring fresh air into the building and filter out things like bacteria and viruses, right? And dirt and debris and whatever else. But that's what they do. So I know there's been a lot of talk about that. But think about it for a second. You know, I'm not sure how many floors it is on planning where they're not allowed to have open windows and such, like in offices and hotels. But when you're in a hotel and you're on the 6th floor, the windows are fixed, right? So if that hotel's 20 years old, there's been no fresh air for 20 years, except for what is pumped in there from the air conditioning. Okay, no one's closing down hotels from the 4th floor up or office blocks from the 4th floor up. Okay, no one's even talking about that. So, you know, I know there's been a lot of, but there's some good information in there about that. Okay, and then lastly, this is a screenshot that I literally added this morning. It's from the Telegraph, and I think you know that I'm very selective about my news and where I get it from. And I read this. I deliberately screenshot this because this was published this morning, the 26th of August at 1:17 a.m. Okay. It says lockdown. What are the current UK rules? The latest rules for beauty salons, soft play centres and theatres as lockdown eases, right? That's what this is, okay? I've got a screenshot of what they say about salons. Hairdressers are required to wear full face, plastic visors and surgical face masks to reduce the risk of infection, and also need to follow strict rules over the disinfecting of equipment. So anybody who reads the Telegraph knows what's supposed to be happening. Customers must usually make appointments. And there are limits on the amount of people in salons. Customers are not obliged to wear a mask, but they can if they wish to. Really? The Telegraph? And that's the problem. Because much of what we read and what we see is not accurate. That's not accurate. Your client must wear a mask unless they are exempt. And if you've got a client that's an exemption, my advice to you would be that you make a note that the client has an exemption. You don't need to see a doctor's note. We're hairdressers, for goodness sake, right? But if a client says I'm exempt, they're exempt. If that's what they tell us, okay? So we should make a note of it. But that's the only reason that a client shouldn't wear a mask in a salon. That's not me saying that. That's the government guidelines. And that's what the Telegraph are telling people today. I thought the Telegraph was a reliable source of information. Clearly not. So that was why I put that there. So that's really what I have for you today. There's lots more to this because I already told you it's 22 pages of 21. So you've got some homework to do. But luckily, you are one of the people that have got the document that has been my printer ran out, I think. The document that has been put together by the people who are going to be enforcing. So you're ahead of the game. Yay. And now if anyone's got any questions, I've got a new employee who says they're exempt. Doesn't stick well with me. Well, the problem with an employee who says they're exempt, right, is it's not about the employee, it's about the client. And this is where we've got some challenges ahead. And actually, Hilary Hall, and it's still there, by the way, if you want to listen to Hilary's webinar from Friday, it's there on Instagram. I think you can get it. That's the problem. It's the client. It's a bit like a nurse coming up, you know, you're in, or a doctor or whatever, and they come up to you and they say, well, I'm not wearing a mask today because I'm exempt. You'd be thinking, well, I'm the patient, right? So anyway, I would seek some advice from NHF about that. That is what Hilary recommended that people do. In fact, what she said is, if I remember rightly, she said, you know, if possible, give them other duties. But of course, it's not possible really in hairdressing. I don't know. Maybe you want to furlough that person. I don't know. If it's a new employee, maybe. I'm not even going to say that out loud. So Maria's asking about the linked document. Can you see at the top? It says view document, and then there's a red box there. It says here. If you click on there, you'll be able to download the document. If not, if you get in touch with me. And the rest of the team, she'll wear a visor, and the rest of the team. I don't know what that means, Marcus, sorry. Yeah, they need a doctor. Yeah, I know with the team you need a doctor's letter, but like I say, that for me the problem's not the team member, it's the client. You're welcome, Jackie. Resent the message, Marcus. I see what you mean. Right, doesn't, and the rest of the team, yeah, the rest of the team are not happy that, yes, I understand, Marcus. Yes, resentful. Yes, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, of course. And I mean, like salons are getting resentful for salons that are not complying, you know. Barbershops are supposed to have appointments. And overwhelmingly, I hear that barbershops are taking walk-ins, and they're not supposed to be doing that. And, you know, in my salons, clients who normally walk in on a Saturday and say, I'm in town, can you fit me in, are no longer allowed to do that. And we've got clients that are getting angry about that. But I'm not going to compromise. And the reason why I'm not going to compromise is because, you know, my responsibility is to the health and safety of the team and clients before making a profit. Whether I like that or not, that's the responsibility right now. Wait for the kids to go back to school, then the fun will begin. Well, it's already begun, hasn't it, Matt? I mean, you know, I listen to the radio, it's already begun. And I agree with the government. The welfare of children is dependent for the vast majority of children on them taking part in society. And for children, that means going to school. With, you know, there's no sign of this going away soon. We can't hide from it forever. So we've got to get out there and do our best. We just can't hide from it forever. We'll end up, I mean, if it does go on for years, which it could, we'll end up like cavemen and women. You know, I don't know. But anyway, if there's no other questions, beekeepers. What does that mean, beekeepers? We'll end up beekeepers. I don't know what that means, Matt. But anyway, it's been great. I wanted to keep it short this morning because I know that that's what we look like. Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, I know. And it's tough, you know, and I have thought about it. Of course I have, long and hard, you know, what is the answer and etc. And I'm sure that the government would say that, you know, people should be working shorter hours and etc. I don't even know. I think all that is to come. I really do. But thanks, Marcus. Well, it is recorded and I am going to put it out there. And I think it's really important. I think a lot of people think they've got it down and they haven't. I think a lot of people think, oh, no one's going around and checking. And that's because it's only about to start. I will keep you all abreast of what's happening. Now, please remember, Friday, join Daniel for a coffee. He does all of the opportunities to make more money, etc., etc. And that is still a very important part of our business and a very important part of what we do, trying to make money, right? So clients are still in the mood for buying. Our Salon Love app is still strong, so that's you know, a good way to gauge the appetite of the public, as it were. Anyway, so 8:30 on Friday with Daniel, and I will see you on webinar. I will see you on webinar in about 4 weeks, and really looking forward to where we can all be together. For business counts. There's quite a bit of work this year involved because, of course, we have to also add the coronavirus, the measures, etc., etc. So we're working hard with the hotel on that. And I will tell you, before you all start kicking off, you have to wear a visor. And I've negotiated that with the hotel because the hotel said you all have to wear a mask, right? And I said, can we please wear a visor? Actually, you're going to get the choice whether you want to wear a mask or a visor. But I said, they're hairdressers. They've all got visors, and it means that they can all see each other's face, and they've got good visors, light ones. They know which ones to buy, etc., etc. So it's visors or masks. It also means you can drink your champagne underneath your visor. Anyway, look forward to seeing you all there. We have got some great stuff. And it will be a really good time for us all to catch up. Have a great day, everybody. If there's anything you need from us, you know where we are. See you on Friday at 8:30.